the head of the National Education Service Delivery, Mr. Timothy Bure, Manager Learning and Development, Mr. Ranjish Ram. Today heralds the beginning of a very special time for the education landscape in our district.
At the school, our head National Education and Service Delivery, Mr. Bure, you will see that there's a change in the DSPS title. That's one of the first changes that he brought around, and you have a person in charge of the National Education Service Delivery here with you. And I'm sure you've heard Mr. Bure's name, and he will be obviously be in touch with you throughout the year and during his term to ensure that we uplift the national service delivery for the Ministry of Education. Divisional and district education officers, heads of schools, primary and secondary, I'm told there's close to 77 primary and secondary schools in the Tavua division. Our media partners, ladies and gentlemen, Isabula Vinaka, salam, and a very good morning to you once again. I think it's very important that at this point in time, we remember those colleagues that we have lost. I'm told that last year we lost 28 teachers, including heads of schools, who passed away. And we have just lost one recently, our head teacher at local Muslim primary school. And I think it's very important that we pay tribute to the services that they have rendered to the Ministry of Education during their term while they were here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to a very important point, and that is the need for us to look after our own health. Okay? While you are given responsibilities to lead your institutions and your communities, it is very important that you put your health first and foremost. If you are healthy, both physically and mentally and spiritually, I'm sure we all would be able to deliver the services that is expected of us in a much healthy and a timely manner. So we remember those that we have lost in our prayers. And first and foremost, thank you all for being here on time. And yesterday we started off our heads of school session with Andronga Navosa. We met up with about 73 heads of schools there. Then we came down to Lotoka. We met up with the Nedi Lotoka Yasawa, close to 109 heads of schools. And now we are here with you, 77 of you who are responsible for looking after the Tavua and Nandari schools. I know some of you have traveled from far, some of you have left your homes early, and I'm sure your schools will not miss your presence because you have set the day and the work that is expected to be carried on within your schools. So I thank you for that. And the whole purpose of this meeting here this morning is to meet you and put a face to your name, and of course to understand which institutions you are serving. Another reason is to hear your success stories, hear your issues, hear your challenges, and see how better we can be of assistance to you throughout this year. And of course, as we move along the nation, meeting heads of schools, we keep making notes, and then we pass those information to the various divisions within the ministry so that they are better prepared to assist you. We started this off with your student 3 days. I think the first time ever the team was out on the ground. And we managed to cover well over 600 plus. To be precise, we looked at about 625 schools out of the 907. I stand to be corrected on the figure. But we reached out to more than 600 schools in 3 days all across the divisions. And the information has been given to especially HR, because we had issues with contracts and placements and teacher transfers. And in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we will see that bear fruits. And hopefully we are able to, if your schools have been understaffed, or if your schools have transfers, etc., we'll be able to fill those vacuums. At this point in time, I was surprised that I got an email from one of our media outlets, our friends from the Fiji Times. They said your unions are not very happy because we're policing the heads of schools and we don't trust you. Let me assure you, we trust you. That's why we've put you in those positions of responsibility. Your unions got it wrong when they said the heads and divisions were out there policing. No, there was no, we don't need to police you. That is our job, to monitor, to guide, to advise. And that's exactly what we are doing. And I know this information will be passed out to your union. So let me put it straight. This is Ministry of Education, and that is how we operate. We will continue to go out to you, to your schools, to your communities, as and when we see fit, to ensure that we uplift the service delivery. That's what we are mandated to do, and that's what you are mandated to do as well. Yes, so let's put that at rest. No head of school should fear any visit from the minister, from the assistant minister, from your new head of national service delivery, from your district education officers to your director primary. Very soon you'll have a director secondary as well, or any government official, if you do your job right. And I'm sure the trust that we have placed in all of you, and as I look across, I see a range of young heads, very senior heads, those that are about to retire. And I can assure you that you have been chosen because you are the best person to do the job. And I hope you will not let the trust that we have put in you, whether we are there or not, business must continue in your institution. Business must be as usual within the district and of course at the headquarters. So I would also like to put on record the support that we have been getting from our divisional heads and from the Ministry of Education officials in ensuring that 2020 actually kickstarts on a high note. You and I both understand that every year before school starts, there are hiccups. Okay? Teacher placements, transfers, contracts. We are dealing with that. But you need to support us by giving us the right information when we want the information from you. Simple things like, if you are overstaffed, please advise us. If you are understaffed, please advise us. Okay? Because you are the leader of your institution. And you know the best way to lead your institution. So because we come out to you in numbers and talk to you, please don't feel intimidated. Talk to us and say, this is my situation, and we will find solutions for you. So after the student-free day visits, you might think, what did they do with the information that we gave you? Some schools we were not able to target. Right in the Western Division, we managed to target most of the schools. So the debrief we had last Sunday gave us a better insight about what's happening at school level. And the divisionals now have been instructed to be in touch with you more than ever. I was made aware that in the last couple of years, there was a disconnect between headquarters and the divisions and the schools. A lot of visits were curtailed. Divisions were restricted from going out. Education officers were restricted from going out and visiting schools. God knows whatever reason. These are administrative decisions. Okay? So 2020, we will stand by through your divisions to assist you. So your director primary is here for primary school. If you need some clarifications today, we'll give it to you. We'll be joined by the director of finance shortly. We have our head representative here and of course the executive support unit. And like I said, the whole idea is to assist you to kickstart your 2020. 2020 focus for us is our maritime schools, our deep rural schools. Yes, so if you are one of those heads of schools serving in our maritime areas, definitely not here, and if you are serving in our rural maritime areas, we will be diverting our focus more to that in terms of infrastructure development, in terms of staffing, and in terms of providing the best delivery to our services. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start with some good news. Well, I see that as a good news, because at the end of the year, we sort of are judged by the results that we produce. I must congratulate all of you for putting in, if you have put in the best of your efforts, if you have worked as a team in your schools and produced the results. And I'm sure the student-free days should have allowed you to analyze your results and set better benchmarks for 2020. Of course, this year we are going to work with you to set our national targets. For the time being, if we compare the 2060 external examination results with that of 2019, we have basically maintained some, and in some areas we've done well, in some areas there's been a slight decline in percentages. So if you look at the primary schools, I think the secondary schools, you should also be interested in the results of the primary schools, because these are the students that eventually roll over to your secondary school. So year 6 We started off with 48%, and you must understand these are the results that where marks have not been scaled up, right? So we started off with 48% in 2016, we went up to 50% in 2017, and then we went up 64% in 2018. This year we're sitting at 56%. There's a lot of room for improvement. So heads of schools, I'm sure you'd love to compare your results with the other divisions. And that is where your division heads will come and discuss on comparing result analysis. For year 8, we started off in 2016 with 65%. 2017, we went up to 68%. 2018, we came down 56%. And 2019, we went up to 69%. So, good effort there, but still room for improvement. Year 10, we started off with 45% in 2016. We went up to 55%. Then we went down to 54% in 2018. And this last year, we're sitting at 53%. Not a slight drop, but again, a lot of room for improvement in your primary schools. So you need to step up with your teachers there and probably devise new strategies that may work for the students that you have. Year 12 for secondary schools, we started off with 61% in 2016, went up to 71%, then went up to further 72%, and last year we went up to 73%, a slight increase, but overall good results. I won't say very good, but we can go well over 80% or probably. We'll look at the national targets later on. Year 13, we started off with 65%, then we went up to 71%. Last year, the previous year we went to 84%, an all-time high, and last year we dropped down to 79%. Okay, so those are very good benchmarks. So for this year, you'll be working with the team to set national targets, and the national targets will be based on your school's target. Right? So we'll be meeting further along the line to see how we set up those national targets. And of course, I'd like to thank you. Please go back to your institutions and thank your teachers on behalf of all of us here for the good work that they've done. And if there is need for us to improve, then let's improve this year. Ladies and gentlemen, coming down from there, now let's look at the students that we serve. We're looking at close to well over 250,000 students. 2019, the total student enrollment was 275,230. A lot of enrollments in ECE centers, close to 19,100 students in our ECE centers. Primary enrollment stood at close to 150,000. Secondary at about 66,127 to be precise. Tertiary stood at 38,659, and our vocational enrollment was 3,287. So overall, including vocational and tertiary, education sector looks at about 275,230 children. And we, as educators, are entrusted with that responsibility. Whether you are an ECE teacher, whether you're a primary school teacher, whether you're a secondary school teacher, or head of school, whether our lecturers and staff, the nation depends on us, educators, to do the right thing. Because they have entrusted their trust and responsibility on our shoulders. Our small and thin shoulders, eh? But I'm sure we have strong shoulders. You all have strong shoulders that will carry that responsibility and take us forward on a positive note. Ladies and gentlemen, let's come down to teachers. Our total teacher stats for Fiji stands at 13,727. And Minister of Education by far is the largest employer in the civil service. We get the highest chunk of the national budget. Close to 21% of the national budget comes to us. And then you can understand how important your role is in ensuring that we do justice to that responsibility. EC teachers, we have 1,452, and from last year we have been constantly reminding EC teachers to upgrade their qualifications. We have some EC teachers that are underqualified. Okay, so if you have an EC center, whether it's attached to your school or whether it's a standalone center, please encourage your EC teachers to ensure that they are fully qualified. Because for me, that foundation of education that we want is laid at EC. We are working with UNICEF, and we are trying to launch a few programs called Bula Kids, where the basic foundation that we want to lay down in terms of language, manners, values, nutrition, will come through an animated video series. Very interesting. We're going to start with that with our kids. Okay? And then obviously slowly we'll walk towards building more materials. But that doesn't stop you at some schools from being creative, from being innovative, from using audio visuals. I was surprised to learn that we don't have this listen, speak, and that listening thing we had in our time. You listen to our comprehension, then you have questions to answer. I think we are getting that back, I've been told. These are the basic communication skills that our children lack. Actually, we lack that. I will give you our observations about when we assess heads of schools and teachers. What were some highly rated areas where you've done very well? And which are some of the low rated areas where the heads that were assessed have done very poorly? So we need to improve on that. And because we are training future leaders, I think we need to start with ourselves and then take it down to those people. Okay, how do we develop those listening skills? Some of us don't want to listen. How do we develop that speaking skill? How many of you are able to communicate to your staff without referring to your notes? How many of you go to the school assemblies and do that? That's lacking. I've seen a lot of heads of schools and teachers when they come up and move a vote of thanks, etc. They have a big paper written and they have things written in paper. No, by now, if you are a classroom teacher, you should be able to do that. Good command of public speaking. Right? And that's probably one of the essential steps of being a good leader. Get away from this. Clear notes. Your teacher training institutions, I'm sure, have prepared you well. But if you know you have a weakness, ladies and gentlemen, accept it to yourself and move on by improving yourself. Let us not pretend we know. I don't pretend I know everything. Let us not pretend we know everything. And we all have our weaknesses. Do a self-assessment. Am I a good leader? I don't have to come and tell you what makes a good leader. But for me, a good leader is one who's able to communicate effectively with the people he or she is entrusted to lead under that responsibility. Okay, so that's why when you have that new assessment model that we are going to use is now a 360 approach. And we will be having a lot of workshops with you to make sure you understand how you will be assessed 360 from all angles. Your community assesses you, your manager assesses you, your teachers will assess you. Right? Your teachers will assess you. Peer assessment. But please don't take that negatively. We need others to show us the mirror and say, look, this is something that you are doing wrong. We get told by our leaders that this is something that you need to improve on. So take that very positively. And if you are seniors, please use the wisdom and knowledge that you have to guide the juniors that have been appointed in that position. Don't see junior appointments as a threat. A lot of senior school heads and a lot of senior teachers see juniors being appointed to positions of responsibility as a threat. No, don't see that. We need to have new leaders coming up. Obviously, when you leave, you must have groomed another leader. That is the success of any leader. So don't think your VP or your AP is trying to take your position. You do your job and they will learn. Be a good role model that your students see you as a leader. That's very important. Again, like I said, I've already congratulated you for the external exam results and we will be working with you to set your divisionals and national targets. Let's look at the budget, ladies and gentlemen. We can't work if we don't have money. Like I said, over the last couple of years, we've been getting increases in our budget. But last year, we had a decline for this financial year, we've had a decline of close to about $200 million. That's a lot of money. But we don't want that to impact you. The only decrease in your budget comes from the FED grant, free education grant. And again, the calculations and the research we've done, we've spoken to a lot of schools, it should not impact on the productivity level. It should not impact your operations. Because to counter that, I hope you know the percentages of the grants that are given for various allocations. And as head of school, if you don't know, then there's something wrong. Please learn, but I will give it to you now. For administration and office operations, we give you 30% of that grant that we give you. You are allowed to use that. Building and compound maintenance makes 20% of the total grant. For IT, computers, and test materials, you can use 15% of the grant. Your libraries and textbooks is 10%. Physical education, arts, music, and science, we give you 10% of the grant to be utilized for all that. Physical education, said that. And then teaching and learning resources is 15%. And this has been given to you from 2015. 15, yes. 2015. So my question here is that if you have been utilizing these grants well from 2015, with the priorities laid to you by the management and probably your staff, by now, 5 years later, there will be certain sections in the allocation that you don't even need. You must have brought your resource textbooks by now, okay? What else? Library books, we supply you with library books. You get donations, what's the organization? Read to Lead, they are partnering with you. I had a meeting with the lady who's in charge of Ghazala. She says she's very much disappointed that when books are given to schools, they are not looked after well. Sometimes they give you this book in these big, big boxes, and then it's lying in the corner, and sometimes the whole container is empty and there's no book in there. So please take good care of the resources. So there's a few school managements who decided to levy parents with some funds in the name of re-enrollment. And they say, we're going to charge you re-enrollment because government grant has been slashed. No. As a head of school, I'm warning you, do not use the school's official receipt to receive any money that the management charges. Parent-teacher association is between the management and the parents. It's voluntary. So if your management tells you that you have to levy a fee, you don't have to be part of that. That's between the parent and the management, because your accounts are audited separately. Right? The grant that we give you is audited separately. The management funds are audited separately. Don't confuse those. How will you account for the fund that the management collects if you issue a school receipt? Right? So I haven't received any concerns from any parents in the Western Division, but there are a few schools in the Central where parents were asking in the name of re-enrollment. There's no such thing as re-enrollment. And that was the first time I heard that this year. There is no such thing as re-enrollment. So please be mindful of these things. Don't be a party to these things that will actually put your position in jeopardy. Right? So, when you're, okay, can I come back to you and say how many schools grant has been released so far? Very important that you know that. If your school grant has not been released, then there's something wrong. So out of the 77 schools here, 62 primary schools, we have released 48 schools grant. 50% has been released, primary schools. Those 14 yet to complete their class audit, you should know. Donish is here. Your director of finance is here. Please have a word with him if your grant has not been released, or he will tell you which schools are there. Update your class audit into FAMIS so that we can release your grant. Okay? For the secondary schools, we've released 12 schools, 50% grant. And the pending class audits, the other schools, if you can quickly do your class audits so that enter it into FAMIS and verify that so we can release your grant ASAP. When your grant doesn't come to your school, please don't go and say the government has no money. I've heard this. Government is not giving us money. Those are taxpayers' money that you and I are both accountable for. And there are processes, there are financial procedures in terms of accountability and transparency that we have to adhere to before we can release your grants. We are subject to audit. So please understand that. You need to assist us by providing timely information, accurate information. So do your class audits fast and then submit that information to us and we will release your grant ASAP. It's being held. And remember, you are subjected to audits as well. If we receive information about misuse of grants and if our team goes out and audits and we find out that you are not managing the grants for the purpose it's given, it's criminal. It's a criminal offense. Okay? So we hold your grant and then we centralize it and we assist you from headquarters in the release. We don't want to do that. We want to give you the liberty of utilizing the money that the government is allocated for your school for the benefit of your school. Use for the teaching, learning. I was aware of one case last year when suddenly the head of school and the management, maybe the management overruled them, I don't know. They decided to build a new boardroom. That money should not be used to build a boardroom for the management. Or it's for the students teaching, learning. Improve your classrooms. Improve your evolution block. Get more teaching materials. Upgrade your computer lab. Upgrade your PMEC, stuff like that. So the reason why we are here is because these are the things that come to us. And then we have to come down hard on you. 2020, I don't want it to be a year where we resolve your messes. The previous head of school has left a mess and the new one is having problems with that. No, let's do the right thing. If you don't know, please ask. Ask. What is the right way to go about doing that? So PTA levy, no PTA levy to be charged by the school. It's the parent-teacher voluntary. It's voluntary. And even in the name of donations, management cannot make it mandatory. It's two different things. If it's donation, it's donation. You can't send a letter to parents saying it's a donation and it's $200 mandatory. What contradiction? So please be very careful. You are employed by us. And we all have certain barriers to what we can do and what we cannot do. And I trust, we at headquarters trust that you will do the right thing and move with us throughout the year. Ladies and gentlemen, this year in the 2019-2020 budget, we've got about $35 million for school rehab programs. I think most schools in Ba are nearing completion, Ba, Tavua, and Nandarivatu. Most. I think all. But let us know if there's some work that's still pending in your schools after DC Winston. Yeah? I am aware that some schools have 90% coverage, etc. like that. So these are committed budgets for rehab programs. And should you decide with your management that the school needs an extra building because the numbers of students are increasing, then please liaise with the asset management team or your division so that we can put it into next year's budget. Okay? Evolution blocks. I'm sort of sometimes very sad when I go to schools and I just go into an evolution block. And sometimes the sight that I meet is very pathetic. I'm sure we at our homes have nice, clean washroom facilities that we want to use. So please allow our children to do that. If you feel you need to change certain systems in your evolution, do that. Cleanliness is very important. The standard of our schools, we have government schools and then we have those schools that are run by management and faith-based organizations. So far, I think majority of the schools are very well kept. I was driving by one of my favorite schools, Basanatan. I actually had a dream to be the principal of that school one day. Unfortunately, the plan was something else. No offense to the principal of Sanatan College, but that was my dream, believe me. I still see every tree I planted there. Whenever I go there, I see the trees I planted, the flowers I planted, the projects we did. And I'm very impressed when I drive by the school. Very good management there, principal. Work with them. And that school could be no offense to Xavier, and there's so beautiful schools around the Western Division and across the nation. However, there are still some schools when I drove by during student-free days and the weekend. I found the grass to be ankle length. Somebody said knee length, I said it's exaggeration. Not knee length, but ankle length grass on the first day of school. That's your responsibility. I'm sure you have a gardener. Nobody's asking you to pick up the lawnmower and go mow the mower. But you have people, delegate responsibilities. Set your expectations. 2020 closure, you should have set your expectations to your librarian, to your bursar, to your teachers, to your gardeners. Come day one of the school, I want the compound clean. We give you money for that. Don't let your management use the excuse of lending extra money to your teachers by saying you want to cut the grass. We give you enough money here. And Director of Finance later on will be telling you how we can buy our funds. So for example, if I look at the example of say, Patel College, where's the principal, Lady Patel? Here? Oh, right. We did some new buildings last year. Sanatan we did buildings. Kamil we did buildings. DAV we did some new buildings. So if you look at your building and compound maintenance, you're given 20% of that actual grant. You don't need to build more buildings. We've only built it for you. Use that. Ask ministry that you want to buy that fund for Oh, you already have compound maintenance. You don't have to buy them. So building and compound maintenance, you get 20%, a big chunk. Use that. Tell your management that your priority is not a new building because your student numbers are going down. But if your student numbers are going up, then that could be your priority and that could come to asset management unit and then we'll say, okay, you need one new classroom to cater for maybe year 9, something like that. Work with your primary schools. How many students are coming out of class 8 in that division in your zone? How many will come to your school? Look at the trends of the previous years. Those schools where numbers are going down, you need to be mindful as well. So in your zone, if you have 500 students in the primary school, you as a head of school should have a fair idea how many will come to my school. Do I have adequate evolution facilities? Do I have adequate classrooms to cater them? Is my lab enough? The staffing enough? That's the planning we expect from the head of school. WASH programs, if your school is part of the WASH program, we will be extending the WASH programs to close to another 100 plus schools this year. So that will be advised, and I think it's a very good program. The WASH program that we do with Ministry of Health and the World Health Organization. I've talked to you about the consequences of mismanagement of funds. These are criminal offenses. We've proven that you have mismanaged your funds, of course, then there are legal implications to that. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, you all are expected to be well versed with the National Development Plan, the 5-year and the 20-year National Development Plan. If you don't have a copy, go to the government website, read through that and align your school's strategic and operational plan to that. Very important. Your focus area should be aligned to the focus area that's in the National Development Plan. If I was to ask you how many of you have a copy of the National Development Plan, I don't know how many of you have a copy. How many of you have heard about the National Development Plan? How many of you have read the National Development Plan? If you haven't, ladies and gentlemen, please do that. Yes, you are very important stakeholders in that as well. So, textbook scheme. Since we started the textbook scheme, I still receive some concerns, not a lot. Occasionally, 1 and 2 saying that these are the books that the school expects us to buy. Textbooks we provide, workbooks we provide, atlas, dictionary, encyclopedias should be reference sets in your schools. Use the allocation. If you don't have it, ministry will not provide. There would be parents who are not able to buy that, but we expect parents to take some responsibility when it comes to other reference materials. Talk to them nicely. Why is there a need for an atlas? But by now your school should have at least sets of that you can distribute. Teachers need to know that. Textbook audit. There's a team that will be coming to you for textbook audit because we've realized that we've been spending for the last 3 years. Over the last 5 years, we've invested $11 million. Workbook is okay, the students use that, but what about the textbook resources? Have you taken count of that? That's a lot of money, ladies and gentlemen. That money could be diverted to other development projects. So the textbook audit will come and say, okay, we gave you these books this year, where are the records? And year in, year out, some of you give us 100% requisition. We want 100% of this. What happened to the books we gave you last year? We are only going to top it up. And hopefully, for next year, we will allow you to top those books that you need from your allocation, because we're going to change that allocation a bit and just say, look, if you need 10 books extra because your students have lost that. But in reality, there was a circular form that was supposed to be sent to you for student-free days where you're going to record, this kid is taking this book in this condition, if it's a new one, if it's an old one, and return. So there's a policy that they are developing which will come to you for parents to sign as well. We want our children, we want our parents to take responsibility. For supplementary texts used by schools and even your children, like I said, encyclopedia, please use the FED grant to buy class sets and be accountable for that. Additional workbooks, the parent must not be burdened because I'm sure we provide worksheets. Yeah, that we will leave it to you. E-ticketing, go back and please urgently submit updated application forms. We had some hiccups with the e-ticketing and we are sorting it out with Vodafone. And if you have further questions, you can, that premise update and everything, following timelines is very important. When circulars are sent, they say deadline is 20th August. please make sure by 20th August or 20th September or whichever day, give us the information, because the information that you give us is used by us to make decisions. And you need to be more vigilant on that. Transfers. We received well over 1,900 transfer requests for 2019. Okay? And that's a mammoth task. You must understand how transfers work, and you must explain to your teachers as a head of school how transfers operate. So if a teacher is asking for a transfer, there are various grounds for transfer requests. Prioritize family. When you are recommending for a transfer, please prioritize that this particular staff has been away from their family for even 1 year. It matters to us. And help, now divisions will be working with you to identify replacements and places. So successfully 916 teachers have been transferred. 916 teachers have been transferred. In the beginning, we identified only 70 vacant slots. We brought the slot policy back where it works, not for every case. You are a 1 year teacher somewhere and you decide to stop. We don't want that. Priority cases, we will work with slot. And we've done that successfully. However, we have 627 requests for transfers still pending. Some are high priority transfers and they've been put in a pool. When we progress throughout the school year, you will see a bit of disturbances within your schools, because my priority is putting families together. There are teachers who travel long distances, long hours to teach and then come back. I can understand the fatigue and the frustrations they have, but we're walking onto that. Okay? So go back and explain to your teachers. Positive outlook, please. When dealing with teachers, be very positive. I'm actually very disappointed whether it's the truth or fabricated story by teachers who come to me, Madam, my head of school is not cooperative, is not giving me a reference letter, not giving me a recommendation for me to go, not allowing me to transfer, not understanding, blah, blah, blah. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, you are the best person for the job. Your priority should be looking at your human resources that we've given. Your teachers are your human resources. They come to support you, to support them. If they want referees for another position like a HOD position or a VP position, please give it to them and give them the right that this person deserves because he or she has done well, and I recommend that he or she be considered for a principal or head teacher or a vice principal or something of another school. And you will see that you boost the morale of your teachers. We have some heads of schools who are termed as Hitlers, as if we've given you a license to harass and bully your teachers. Nobody is given that license. When you're in a leadership position, you are given the leadership role. Please be mindful of who you are dealing with. Sometimes they come to school a little bit late, but they stay for hours and hours during weekends and after school to help with the school. Keep that in consideration. I used to have a head of school who would come to school, the last one to come to school and sign 759. 758, first one to go. But at that time, we didn't complain. Teachers have actually photocopied time books and sent to me that this is what the head of school is doing. We're dealing with people who are very smart. They know their rights. They know their responsibilities. As a leader, if you want somebody to be in office by 7:30, you can't be there by 8:30. And you can't, if you want them to stay and train for your athletic squad or something, you can't let them be there by 5 o'clock when you leave the school at 3:30. Flexibility. No compromises to productivity. No compromises. Make up for the lost time, but be empathetic. Be sympathetic to your teachers because you know them best. Some of them will want to walk all over you. That's a fact. But you as a leader, be very assertive, because the buck stops at you. You are responsible. Anything that goes wrong in the ministry, you see, all the stuff I go through. Too bad. You chose to be a leader. I chose to be a leader of this ministry. So if you and I don't work, then we will have chaos. Okay? I've heard a lot of people comment and write to me and saying, oh, your ministry is in a mess. I have yet to receive one person who tells me, how is the ministry in a mess? We have a good ministry. Yes, we have administrative issues. Yes, we have administrative issues like your organization has administrative issues. So please be proud of the ministry that you serve. Be loyal to your ministry. I hear teachers going out and portraying negative images of one contract is not renewed and there you go. But look at the reason why that contract was not renewed. December 14th or 15th, I got this update from HR saying that we've uploaded 500 plus contracts, I have it somewhere, and 300 teachers actually in the holidays access FEMIS. We can see that, we can track that. They access FEMIS. That means they saw their contracts there. But they did not do the right thing by printing the last page. It takes about 5 minutes if there's a printer around. If there's no printer around, it takes 1 day. Go print, take a shot of your phone, and forward it to us. Yet, we take the blame. Fair enough. So while we improve processes within, ladies and gentlemen, 9,000, close to 9,676 teachers, we place them on a 5-year contract. And it's important that you know that. We have 554 teachers on a 3-year contract that need to upgrade their qualification. Every teacher that is going to be working for us probably in the next couple of years will have teacher training. That's the ultimate goal. So advise your teachers. For 2-year contract, we have identified some anomalies in the qualifications. So we've given them time. And we give them time to complete. So you must know that. Know your teachers. If they're on a 3-year contract and a 2-year contract, you should know there's something wrong with their qualification. And we've given them time to do education units to be a qualified teacher. We have 23 teachers on a 1-year contract, and you know these are the teachers who have no teacher training qualification. So if you have them, please do advise them they need to upgrade qualification. Same thing with ECE teachers. You don't believe the number of ECE teachers that have actually completed the early childhood education training certificates and diplomas, etc. since last year. So that's the positive outlook that we want. We've had around 800 plus teachers who've upgraded their qualifications to a degree level. Not only does the salary go up, but they end up getting a 5-year contract. So these are positive things that's happening. Talk about them. If you have teachers who are happy, then of course the whole school environment would be one that's very positive. I just wanted to give you those background information, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's come back to acting appointment. If you are on an acting appointment, acting, we all have been on acting appointments. So if you are on an acting appointment, doesn't mean automatically your acting appointment would be rolled over to the next year till you are confirmed. Or before that, let me congratulate all those who have been confirmed in their positions during the first round of OMRS. We had 55 medium schools, primary and secondary heads of schools who were successful. Sorry. So we have confirmed certain numbers. We have held on to the confirmation of certain numbers. And we are still deliberating a very minor couple whether they should be confirmed or not. During your probation period, which we extended to a year, we found out performance issues. And this is where the 360-degree, the HR rep will be talking to you about how we assess your key performance indicators, the assessment report. Some have done wonderfully, fully competent, and I must congratulate you for that if you are one of them. If you have not been, like I said, there are performance issues, you'll be put on PIPs. But there's something else that you should know. I think you didn't know. Because you are on a probation, and if you don't pass your probation, I mean, this was well documented before I came, I picked it up. You don't revert to your substantive post. There's no substantive post if you've gone through OMRS and you've been appointed at a head of school. It's very important that you perform because your contract states that you will be terminated. If you don't perform, if you are not fully competent for that position, you don't have a substantive post. And your substantive post is what you have. You don't go back to being a VP. Or you don't go back to being a HOD before you are promoted. So please take that very seriously. And because you were chosen, the 55 that you were chosen, you were supposed to have been the best appointed. But yet we find some have not performed. So we are still deliberating on that. You'll be put on a performance improvement plan. Take that very seriously. Some of you will be given a final warning. Take that very seriously, people, because we're giving you a second chance. We'll be very fair on you. We'll be very fair on you. A couple of teachers failed, a couple of heads of schools failed to adhere to instructions that was given to them, and that is classed as insubordination. You should know that. When your teachers don't listen to your instructions, that's insubordination. So there are certain disciplinary issues that warrant counseling, there are certain disciplinary issues that warrant a first warning, the second that will warrant a second warning, second that will warrant a final warning, and the third would be a summarily dismissal. We will monitor that. The whole idea again is to see that we all improve our performances. So do your self-assessment check and say, look, I need assistance here. Get a feedback of about what your teachers think of. And you should be happy that you are doing the job. Because remember, under the OMRS system, there's so many waiting there to take your positions, take up positions. Young, versatile, or not even young, other leaders who think they can do a better job than that. So you be the best. I had to say that because last year I figured this out during the probation period. I said, well, if they don't pass the probation period, what happens? Then we said they have to go home. And I really don't want to send you. You may not be a very good administrator, but you may be a very good teacher. Right? And you need to upgrade your leadership skills. Professionally develop yourself, ladies and gentlemen. And when you are on an acting appointment, there is no compulsion on our part to renew your acting appointment for the next year, because the letter clearly states could be revoked at any time. But then I don't understand heads of schools that go through disciplinary procedures and we find that you haven't done well, you come back and write to us and say, look, I need a second chance. I don't appoint. The minister doesn't appoint you. The panel appoints you. I endorse your appointment. I have no say on where you go. You could be my colleague, you could be my student, you could be my brother, you could be my own daughter. I don't do that. That's beyond my job description. The panel does it independently. Even the investigations are done independently by the panel. So sometimes you write to me directly and say, Madam, this is the case, I want you to... I don't have the powers to do... I can say, review your case, give you a fair judgment. We hear your stories too. I will tell you the reasons why we have not appointed, not renewed acting appointments for some acting heads of schools and even HODs and VPs. We have a lot of registered disciplinary cases against you, serious breaches. So I've advised the ministry to advise you through the divisions about the categories of disciplinary breaches that you have. If it's serious, you must know what's serious. Sexual harassment is very serious. Sexual harassment is very serious. Head of school to the teachers, teachers to teachers, teachers to students, head of school to students, sexual harassment. Very serious. Zero tolerance. Very soon you'll get a policy saying zero tolerance to sexual harassment. You've had heads of schools being engaged in that. Abuse of funds, I've already talked about it. Corporal punishment, ladies and gentlemen, is zero tolerance. This year, can we pledge and say zero tolerance within our schools? I even have heads of schools inflicting corporal punishment. So if you go, you go. Then you can take us to court and all those things, the employment tribunal, etc. You must know what other avenues you can resort to. Very serious. Theft. It's not a generalized thing, but I didn't want to say it, but it's been watching me all this while. There's a case registered against one of the heads of school in one of the divisions on theft. It's an allegation. Let me just put it, it's an allegation. No disrespect to anybody. Everybody is alleged. But if proven, it's very sad. And if the media was not here, I would tell you what the theft is all about. But it's biting my conscience. How can a head of school do that? I won't say it. I want to say it. My team knows I want to say it. I won't say it. I have that much respect for you. Because of one, I don't want you all to go through that embarrassment and shame. I have been shamed enough. Because I have had somebody working for you who's been alleged, and as far as I know, the evidence I've seen and everything, it could be true. So please, you hold yourself in such a manner that your actions does not jeopardize the rest of your colleagues. I am a colleague of you. I come from that. I spent 24 years. You represent my profession and I represent your profession, please. Not in the Western Division. This area is very nice and calm and cool. I don't receive complaints from here. Keep that up. Not that I don't want to receive complaints, but good. That shows good leadership. Good people living there. I don't know. I'm just saying that. There are certain divisions, that's smooth running. And there are certain divisions every day. I have to put my phone on silent from 6 o'clock in the morning till 12 o'clock in the night. But too bad. Oh, coming to communication. Attend to your teachers' faults. Attend to your parents' faults. Attend to them. I was actually given a snapshot of somebody's Bible messages. A head of school to a student under investigation. Very sad. If you communicate like that, that's why we had that social media policy, remember? And people were jumping up and down, why we are restricting you. You put yourself in a situation. This is very dangerous, people. And you and I are always under public scrutiny. Your usage of social media, how you portray yourself in the public. You go sit in the bar after hours, that's your right. We are under public scrutiny now more than ever. You cough, you sneeze, because you're a teacher. Sorry, I still say DSPSC. Mr. Bure talked about how the taxi drivers know us, who you owe money, quotes. If you owe quotes for some payment, please clear that up. If you owe some shopkeeper some money, please clear that up. If you owe somebody some rent, please clear that up. They all come to me. Yeah, I understand it's your personal, but you represent the Minister of Education. Oh, that teacher rented my dinner. Or that teacher is owing some money because we gave something on credit. I understand you have personal issues and stuff, but please deal with that. I think we are paying you now more than what I received in my time. The salaries have gone up. Better manage your finances. They're simple things. You may not be aware of that. You're traveling in a bus and say, oh, okay, this teacher traveled in the bus, madam, you know what? Pregnant lady was there. I said, get that. I was going to complain from one of the teachers saying my principal doesn't allow me to dye my hair. Is there a rule that I can dye my hair? Why do I have to deal with those things? You deal with it. Your dress code, your stuff, you deal with it. I can't make decisions for you. We can only give you policy guidelines, and from that, see how best you can address it. I have to bring it up to you. Because as a teacher, I experienced that. As a vice principal, I experienced that too. That's for you. Yeah, there's so many things we can talk about, ladies and gentlemen, and then I'll just go, the final thing I'll go over is your observed areas where we have seen that you do very good. Highest rated observed areas in terms of leadership. Apart from a few, your financial management practices are good. Okay? That's something for you to be proud of. Data collection, it's there, a little bit of improvement needed. You delegate your responsibilities, but at the end of the day, you will be held accountable. You can have somebody fill in the fairness, but then you will be responsible. Hold on. Provision of resources, student learning, okay. Communication, staff meeting minutes and records, okay. Staff planning, okay. Child protection, okay. Child protection, your offices, child protection offices must be very vigilant about issues that come around in your school. Timetables, scheduling, I don't know how many principals know how to do timetabling. If you don't know, that is part of your responsibility so that you know subject teacher allocation, etc. Whether you're understaffed or overstaffed. If you don't know, organize a workshop within your own. You don't know? Well, too bad you don't know, you learn it. Okay? Timetabling, we have experts in us. I remember when I became a VP, I didn't know how to do a timetable because it's not something that you do as a teacher. You expect the head of school to teach you, but sometimes when the head of school doesn't know, then it's delegated responsibility. If somebody is an expert, have a workshop done within your school so every teacher knows how timetables are done. Now you have applications, etc. that you use, you feed in information. Use that. Staff conduct, technology use, school ethos. If I can come back to you again on school ethos, Please, whichever school you are posted into, make sure you understand the culture and ethos of the school. Work with the management of the school to ensure that the culture and ethos of the school is protected under your leadership. Very important. That's why you are appointed. Currently, you would be aware that we are engaged in a I would say, a very nasty, controversial issue as to certain schools where heads of schools have been appointed by the ministry. We don't look at your faith. We choose you because we believe that you will be the best person to run the school. Let us deal with that. But we will still appoint you on merit. Okay? Some of you are teaching schools that you don't even, it doesn't belong to your faith, and you're doing a good job. So, and we will continue to do that. So just so that you are aware, okay, your appointments are going to be based on merit and not because you belong to a particular faith. So work with the management, work with those faith-based organizations, instill that culture and ethos of the school in all the children and teachers that are there. School returns, that's very important. Low-rated observed areas, you need to improve on this, is effectively handling external complaints and grievances from the community. Need to improve on that. We'll have a lot of workshops over the years to see how best you are prepared to deal with parental complaints. How do you engage yourself with the community? Evaluation of curriculum coverage, that's something that you need to monitor. Strategic mindset, open days, fun days, special orders, etc. You need to engage your school into that. Wash, water, sanitation and hygiene programs, we need to be more into that. Supervising, coaching and mentoring is one of your roles and responsibilities. Please do that. Community support, co-curricular activities, improve on that. Infrastructure programs, your displays and signs within your school buildings. Handing over of existing teachers, and you hand over to the new head of school that comes in, all that. Induction of new teachers, make sure you induct your new teachers into your school. Introduce him or her. Make sure he or she is ready before you put him in the classroom or her in the classroom. Assess their capabilities. Not that a graduate comes and you say, okay, the graduate is going to teach all the senior folks. Take a week to understand your new graduate. And of course, clustering, sharing with neighboring schools is also very important. Ladies and gentlemen, let me come to the final bit of my presentation, and that is your roles as heads of schools when it comes to classroom teaching. Again, the unions have come to us and said, no, teachers should not be teaching because they have so much responsibility. The idea is shared responsibility, delegated responsibility. You are allowed to delegate your responsibility. With all those job descriptions, I know for sure most of you are delegating that responsibility. Well, that's fine, but you will be held accountable. So your teaching responsibilities is a minimum of our Director Primary. I'd like you to talk about this later on as to how you will fare in the classroom 2020. If you're a good maths physics teacher, I'd like you to take at least one 40-minute class per day. Go into that maths physics classroom, guide one teacher, shared responsibility. Primary school head teacher, well, different the classes of schools, the Director Primary will talk to you about that. 1 hour minimum. Go and teach class 1. See how your new class 1 is. Go into a year 8 classroom. See what caliber of students you have. I'm not asking you to make papers and mark papers and analyze results. I'm asking you to share your responsibility because I will still stand by what I said last year. You are the best. And if you think, ladies and gentlemen, with all due respect, if you think you are not the best, please let us know. We will allow you to step down and put somebody else who thinks he is the best person. And we have placed our trust in you. Wherever you are, Navala, I know it's so far away. Schools in Nandarivatu, so far away. We appreciate the work that you do. Right? And I've been told that head teachers or some heads of schools are already teaching. You can take a moral values lesson. You could be a very expert in female. Take a physical education lesson. Your teachers would love to see you in a sports attire in the ground in midday heat doing some exercise. So that's all about being positive. That's all about being positive. And we will engage you on a more regular basis. We will engage with you on a more regular basis, explaining to your expectations and helping you overcome your challenges. Okay? So ladies and gentlemen, with these words, sorry I've taken, I know 10 minutes is the least children can hear, but I think you can listen for 1 hour. And then go back with renewed energy, more vigor, positive vigor. Positive, be positive. Sky has not fallen down. Sometimes we act as if the sky has fallen. That's one thing I should be thinking, the sky has fallen down on me. Where do I run? With my responsibilities, my team's responsibilities. I always say my team. I'm not going to take credit for anything that the ministry achieved, but I will take failure, responsibility for failure if you fail. I can assure you that. I will take responsibilities for failures. That means I have failed. Successes, you celebrate. You celebrate. Okay? So thank you very much. Look after yourself, look after your families, look after your teachers, look after your institutions. Make us proud, make your schools proud, make yourself proud, and I'm sure we will do well in 2020. Work as a team, bond as a team. Don't pull each other down, ladies and gentlemen. Don't. Sometimes, like I said, I hear this one talking bad about I receive so many complaints about you, but I'm not judgmental. I don't judge, oh, this one is bad, this one should go. I never do that. Give them another chance. But I will give you only one chance. Or maybe two. Pull up your socks. 2020 would be a very good year for us. Celebrate. Invite us to be part of your celebrations. Celebrate with the community. Make your name, make your mark in any institution where you are. Leave your mark there. And they will remember for the good that you do. Okay? So stay safe and stay healthy. And probably it's very late for me to wish you all a very, very happy new year and a happy 2020. God bless you. Leave your problems, the school problems. When you walk out the gates, bye-bye problems. Go home, spend time with the children, your spouses. I'll just stick with spouses. I won't go further than that. Your friends and family. The rest is your personal life. But when you come back, pick up the problem from there, come to school, discuss with your staff, solve it, move on to a new, fresher day. Okay? Thank you. God bless you with good, what should I say, health and a healthy life and a prosperous new year. Thank you very much. Thank you to the former PS for being with us in the last. Our head HR is also resigned. And for the simple fact, Ministry of Education, like I told you, is our largest employer. 30 for the issues we had in HR in terms of transfers and placing closely with our divisions, because your divisions know you better than anybody. So last year again, hopefully by week 3, all the information that we have collated will go back. Keep updating your divisions about your shortages in HR professionals. So I understand your frustrations, but again, as a head of school, and we should be able to come back to you positively come week 3 of term 1, if not give us another week. Give us 2 weeks more. We're going to talk to you and assist you. I understand your frustrations, but it's not all across. Some schools are well staffed and ready to operate. The frustrations arise from a handful. It's an administrative matter which we should deal with. Okay, so I would expect you to be a bit patient with us.
3 1 4